What's going on, everyone? Hope you're doing well. You may have noticed that Lloyd and I were not live this morning here in Canada, of course, on this YouTube channel today. And the reason for this is Lloyd and I yesterday had a long talk, and we've decided to move our live streams for the time being, for now, to Facebook. The reason for this is because it is easier to get a better quality live stream on Facebook. Until we're able to afford better cameras and to have better internet connections and all of those things that you need to have high quality live streams, we're going to be live streaming on Facebook. So all of the links that you need to join our live streams are below in the description of this video. We'll still be live at the same time, and what I'm going to do is I will upload the replay of our live stream to YouTube right here. So you'll be able to watch the replay. It won't be live. If you want to watch us live, come to Facebook and do that by following the links below. Today, we just finished our live stream and we had an Ask Us Anything session. So we told our audience to ask questions related to learning English, and we answered these questions during the live stream. I'm going to play the replay for you right now, and I hope you enjoy. Bye-bye. Yes, so welcome everyone to English TV Live. We are your #1 resource for live English lessons, and today we are going to be answering your questions. This is an Ask Us Anything session, so whatever questions you have about English, whatever you're struggling with, or if you're just curious to know about Lloyd and I on a personal level, that's okay too. Feel free to ask us your questions. We will be here for the next little while.
That's right. Anything that comes to mind, anything, within reason. That's a good expression, within reason. So nothing too crazy, not like... I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. Anything within reason, anything that you think Jacob and I could help you with. So whether it's grammar related, pronunciation related, whatever it happens to be, some expression you're not sure about, have a go in the comment box below. Let us know what it is that you'd like to ask us, and we would be more than happy to help you out.
So we're going to start with a question from one of our members in our private group. And by the way, as Lloyd mentioned, if you want to join the waitlist for our private English community online, you can follow the link in the description of this video. We're going to start with a question from Nim, and she thinks this might be an easy question, but she is confused. When should she use honestly, and when should she use to be honest?
Honestly, I'm not totally sure, Jacob, so you might want to help me out there. To be honest,
I'm not very sure either.
To be honest, they both sound kind of similar to me. Honestly, to be honest. I would say, in this case, and you get a lot of things like this in English, and I'm sure in your language as well. Two expressions which could basically be used instead of each other. I mean, maybe there's certain situations which I can't think of right now where they're different, but I would say they're almost the same. Would you agree, Jacob?
Yeah, I would agree. And it would be helpful, I think, to talk about the context in which we use these expressions. So, of course, if you're using honestly, if you're using to be honest, you're going to say something that is honest. It means that you are about to say something that is honest. And usually, I don't know if you would agree with this, Lloyd, but usually it's something that might be difficult to say because it's the truth, and sometimes the truth is difficult to communicate. So usually, like let's imagine, for example, that Lloyd was working really hard on this painting, and I knew that he was working
That's not
really
going to
hard on
happen,
this
by the
painting.
way. I can't even draw a face. I can't even draw a smiley face. Sorry, continue.
Perfect. So let's say Lloyd drew a big smiley face and he worked really hard on it. And he showed me the picture and he said, "What do you think?" I might say something like, as Lloyd's friend, I want to be honest with a friend, so I might
That's another
say
expression.
something.
But you could also, sorry to interrupt, but you could also say something like, as your friend, you could start like that. As your friend, to be honest, as your friend, honestly, I have to tell you, as your friend, that's not going to be a
As your
good
friend,
result.
be honest, I think you could do better, or I don't really love it, something like that. So it's usually something that might be difficult to say, but like Lloyd said, they're pretty interchangeable. Honestly, to be honest, they mean the same thing.
Good question, though. Good question, though. Because
Yeah, great
the
question.
thing I like about questions like this is it makes us think about it. Makes us sort of dive deeper into the differences. But as far as I can tell, I don't think there's a big difference between the two. If we're wrong, anybody, if you think we're wrong, you're more than welcome to correct us in the comments below. But to be honest, they sound the same to me.
Why don't we move to another question? And if we see
if anything, yeah, any questions you have for us, everybody, just let us know in the comments. I'm just going to take a little scroll through the comments here.
they're flying by pretty fast.
I'm sure they are. All right. A lot of hellos. Hello to everybody. But we need a question. Okay, here we go. All right, here's a good one. I've got one. Maybe you can take the next one, Jacob. So this one comes from, as you know, I'm the worst person with pronouncing names. But neednt, the spelling of your name is EAINT, says, "Hi, sir." Oh, hello. What situation should I use needn't? Needn't, okay? And I have no idea how to use it. Needn't, okay. I'll give my opinion in a second, but I'll let Jacob start off.
Well, the one thing I would say to start is that I don't think I've ever used this word in casual speech. So it's not very common. It sounds very formal to me. Could you say something like "you needn't do that"? Well, it's short for "you need not do that," right?
It means you don't have to, right? It means you don't have to. Exactly. So in everyday conversation, you're like, "Oh, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. Maybe you shouldn't do that." That's more of a imperative. But needn't, as Jacob said, here's a nice sentence for you. You needn't use needn't very often because it is not, maybe 50 years ago, 100 years ago, definitely a couple of 100 years ago, it was commonly used. But these days, in 2018, you needn't use needn't. Perhaps you could use it in written form. It would be more acceptable, I think, in written form. But if you're talking to somebody in almost any situation, I don't think it would really be very natural to use needn't. Perhaps in a meeting, in some type of formal meeting, very, very formal meeting, you could use it. Maybe if you're meeting the Queen or the King. But otherwise, I would recommend that you don't even worry about it. Don't even let it really enter your vocabulary, because it's not something, you don't need to use it, right? You don't need to. You don't need to. You don't have to. That's much more natural.
Yeah, I would agree. Don't worry about it. I've never used it, like I said myself, and as Lloyd just said, you don't need to use it. You needn't use needn't. Let's go to a question from one of our private members. And again, I'll repeat, if you're just joining us now and you are interested in joining our private online English community, you can join the waitlist. It's not open to the public yet, but it will be eventually. You can join the waitlist by following the link in the description that says join the waitlist. And we're going to go to a question from Tammy, one of our private members. Now, I'm excited about this question because I know that many of you who are watching right now are probably using English in some sort of academic setting. And this question is about writing research papers. Okay? So, the question is, I have a question about whether to use I in a research paper. For example, I think that this critic is right because I believe that blah, 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 blah. So Lloyd, what did you study in school?
Oh, yeah. Tammy actually asked me that the other day. She's a member of our private group, by the way. So I studied, we haven't really talked about this, have we? I studied journalism and politics. Journalism and politics, and of course later on English. But originally, journalism and politics. So that's me. What about you, Mr. Jacob?
I studied
literature, and my minor was in psychology.
I could,
And
I was about to guess there was some psychology somewhere that you studied because you seem very in tune with psychology. You're very interested in psychology.
I am, yeah, it's definitely something that interests me. And in my literature classes, I had to write a lot of research papers. Did you have to write research papers for your classes too?
Um, yeah, from time to time, not, I mean, a lot of essays and stuff, but I don't know what you would, what the difference would be, because maybe you have some different words in in Canada compared to in England, right? So we'd say more like essays or I think research paper perhaps is more like even paper, right? I have a paper to write. English people, British people wouldn't say I have a paper, usually, I don't think.
Interesting.
I think that's more of an American thing. I've got a my beautiful American accent. I've got a paper. Ah, I've got to do a paper. But we wouldn't say I've got an assignment. You'd say an assignment, an essay, a thesis.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, a lot of essays, a lot of papers I had to do over that time. Yeah, but not at a. I didn't continue like some of our followers I know are really deep into their studies, sort of PhD and that kind of level. But I didn't go
Yeah,
that far. So
I had to write quite a few research papers. We do say essay and some and other stuff too. That's all fine. And I'd say most often I use the word papers, but I had to write many research papers. And I would say that I would, in a more formal paper, in a research paper, try to avoid using I, like Tammy said. So I believe this because this. I would never use I in my papers. Now, of course, there are exceptions. I've seen people do it, and I've seen people pull it off. Pull it off means be successful with it, but it's hard to do correctly. And it's very, if you don't do it correctly, then it sounds kind of, um,
amateurish. It sounds a little bit amateurish.
exactly,
If you're
exactly,
sort of like,
exactly.
I think this, I think it's not
Right.
about you. But sorry, continue, Jacob.
With your research papers, you just want to get in and start explaining your point, articulating your argument as clearly as possible, and you don't need to use I really. You can write a beautiful paper without using I. A lot of the time, the person who's reading your paper knows that it's you who thinks these things. So you don't need to tell them that it's you who thinks these things. So I hope that helps. And
Could
for
I
all
add
of you,
a caveat? That's a good word, a caveat,
yes,
which is an
yes,
extra piece of information. I'd say that's true generally, but if the person writing the paper, see now I'm speaking the American way, the paper. If you're writing the paper and you are a significant person and the opinion of that person is important, then maybe you could use I. Like if everybody's curious, oh, what does Jacob think about this? It's Jacob's essay. I want to know what Jacob thinks. I don't want to know what I want to know specifically what he thinks. In that case, if the person their opinion is important, then I think it's perhaps more appropriate to say I. It's just my personal view.
your personal view. Let's move on to another question. I hope that helps, Tammy. I see you in the comment section saying
See you,
it
Tammy. I
was the
see you,
answer.
Tammy.
So glad for that. Lloyd, do you want to pull another one from the comment section, or do you want me to?
I saw a
Got
good
an
one. I
interesting
saw
one.
a good one earlier. I saw a really good one,
Okay.
and it's a little bit X-rated, but I think it's a good, it was a good way to finish.
Okay.
Where was it? Well, I can remember what it was. Okay, somebody asked, "What is the meaning? What is the meaning of?" I'm sorry, I can't find you right now. Well, somebody asked, "What is the meaning of to get laid?" hmm hmm Hey, ask
Well,
us anything. To get laid.
great question.
Jacob,
To
I will
get
let you. I'll
laid.
let you. I'll let you take this. Here we go. It was from. Oh, no, it's from the same guy again. I think we should try somebody else. But you want to go? Well,
Sure.
why don't you tell us in the meantime, then?
Sure. To get laid is basically to have sex with someone. So if you get laid means that you had sexual intercourse with someone else. So particularly I think more often than not, guys use this expression. Let's imagine that you go out with your friends on the weekend as a group of guys, and you come back, and maybe you were flirting with the girl at the bar, and things were going well, and you stayed at her place. The next day, your friends might ask you something like, "Did you get laid last night?" And that would mean, did you have sexual intercourse with that person? So that's what get laid means. It's pretty informal. It's slang, I would say. So don't, I mean, if you're talking about these kinds of things, you're usually speaking about them with someone who you're comfortable speaking about these kinds of things with. So you could use the expression, I guess, but that's what it means.
Okay, cool. And somebody, I'm getting lost in the comments here. Somebody was asking about the, I think it was the present continuous. Hold on. Present perfect continuous. Kind of losing my
Yeah,
track there.
well, I was going to go to one from our, you want to go with that one? That's a pretty big one. I feel like we could do a whole hour.
Yeah, yeah. What I'd say though is, we can look at this deeper later on. With the continuous, present perfect continuous, you want to focus on if you're focusing on the duration of something that's been happening until now, if the duration of time is very important. Let's say, for example, I have been living in New York for 10 years, and that period of time is the important thing that you want to talk about. In that case, in my opinion, it would be more natural to use the present perfect continuous. Right? You're focusing on the duration. I have been awake for 22 hours. Not my story, but just for example. In that case, it would be more natural to use the present perfect continuous. However, the present perfect continuous and the present perfect simple can be sort of interchangeable, but that's just the main thing I want to focus on. The duration, if you want to emphasize the duration, it's more natural to use the continuous form. But I can't find the comment again, sorry.
Why don't we close with a funny one?
Okay.
Or an interesting one from one of our private members. And after this, you guys, again, if you're just watching, Lloyd and I are going to go directly after this live stream, which will end in a few minutes. We're going to go into our private group, our private community. We're going to be opening this community to the public eventually, soon. If you'd like to join the waitlist, and if you'd like to be notified about everything that's happening with our private English TV Live community, you can do so by following the link in the
EnglishTVLive.com. EnglishTVLive.com.
Absolutely.
EnglishTVLive.com.
This is from Marielle Maria. I'm probably not pronouncing that name correctly, but she says, "What do you think about animal medical research?"
Okay, all right. That's a nice easy topic to finish on. What do I think about animal medical research?
Yeah, so animals being used for medical research, I guess.
Whew, that's a nice, easy, soft topic to finish on.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's difficult. I don't like it, of course, and I think it's kind of silly because with animals and humans, I mean, we're not. Well, we are kind of animals, but if you're testing some medicine or something on an animal, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work on a human. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tricky topic. It's a tricky topic. But it's a tricky. Why are you giving me these difficult questions? Okay, ask me anything.
I thought it would be a fun one to end on. I just agree with you personally.
Okay.
I think
I'd say maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, Jacob. Definitely not for vanity things like makeup and soaps and shampoos and stuff. To test on animals for that type of thing is disgusting and horrible and ridiculous. But if there's definitely a link, if you can tell me this animal and a human would have the same reaction to something, in that case, then I suppose it would be better than testing on a human, I guess. But at some stage, you have to test on a human, right? Because we're the ones taking the medicine or whatever it happens to be. It's a difficult topic. It's horrible. I don't want to hurt animals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I disagree about a lot of stuff there. I think, like,
Fair enough.
it's incredibly important, and as long, I mean, it's the question of ethics come in, but as far as I know, we had a class about this one time in I think it was an animal psychology class I took, which I was skeptical about, but it ended up being super interesting. And we talked about the issue of animals used for research, and um, we talked about the ethics of it. But I think, in my opinion, it's a good thing. Part of the reason we're not dying at such a young age anymore is directly because we've been able to use animals in research and test all of these medicines that have saved our lives. I mean, the thing about vanity products, like you said, is a little more tricky. People like to look beautiful though too. Like we like to wear makeup, we like to do all sorts of things. And if
We
you
like to
want
wear
to
makeup,
wear,
do we, Jacob? Nice eyeshadow
right, yeah,
today, by the way. Looking lovely.
thank you. Yes, I'm all natural today, believe it or not.
Oh, really? You
Yeah,
got a fresh face today. Okay, nice.
yeah, it's the lighting.
Yes, the lighting.
But
Okay, so you
but yeah,
have. I wouldn't say your
it's
opinion is too different
complicated,
to
like
mine.
you said.
I wouldn't say yours is too different to mine. I'd say what I said was I don't like it, but in the end, if it can be proved that that is um, definitely going to help find for medicine purposes, then I guess I will allow it, right? I have that power. I will allow it. But for cosmetics and stuff, I think it's much more dicey. That's a good word, dicey, which means how would you explain dicey?
Sketchy,
Sketchy,
uh,
not
the word
so
I'm
good, not so clear, not so
right.
appropriate, dicey. All right, but with
More,
that said, I think we should wrap
yeah.
things up. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This was English TV Live right here, and we're going to go over to our private Facebook group. If you would like to join the wait list, you're more than welcome. We'd love you to. EnglishTVLive.com. Head over there, type in your name and your email address, and we will be in contact very soon. Any last words, Mr. Jacob?
No we'll be back tomorrow at the same time. I think we're going to do it on my page tomorrow, but we'll share it across the board again, across all of the Facebook internet world.
And the
So we'll
YouTubes and
be
all
back
that good
tomorrow.
stuff? Yeah.
Right. So that's about it for now, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back very soon.
All
Okay?
right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.